Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Nut House. You know what I'm talking about with this government and things going on, whatever. Anyway, jiggling the markets around. So, as you know, things were, or no, don't know, things were up earlier. Now they're flattish. So I guess the overnight reaction is running out of steam, but we shall see. Uh, Looking at things technically, as we do every day, prices are gapping up to the high of a red bar. Just looking at the S&Ps here. That red bar came after a wide range red bar day, so known as a 1, 2, 3. However, resistance directly to the left there, where sellers took the opportunity to sell into. We do every day. We see where things are. And then at the end of the day, we see how they progress and how they aligned with our bias. And so yesterday's bias was early on, was to sell the rally, whatever rally might have been. And we didn't expect things to go too far because of the wide range bar, and typically it results in a narrow range day. And so that's what happened. Things jiggled around. So this was up, over. I think this was overnight where it came down. And here was the not the NVIDIA news on some judge now running the country. And obviously in the moment anyway, what was welcomed, you know, stopping tariffs. You know, markets don't care about what's good for the country or whether some debt might eventually take this country down like all the others. All they care about is liquidity in the moment, right? Making money, worry about tomorrow, never, um, except in the moment. So anyway, we got a topping tail working here. That doesn't mean it's going to end that way. Prices are coming down to an area of what we call minor support. And minor support is always a subjective reference point, but it is utilized. You can see there's nothing to stop this from declining except a self-fulfilling prophecy, meaning as we look to the left, there's nothing there, immediately nothing there to trade off of against. But subjective things like minor support, maybe some Fibonacci retracement, maybe some, what do they call that? A Gann square or square of nine, some kind of other ridiculous things. But what we want to look for is this is declining, right? Let's say, okay, prices are coming down to support. Let's think about going long down there since they've declined to support and was preceded by this move up. Well, we go to our 5-minute chart, if you look at the 2-minute chart, whatever it is, we look for things to start going sideways. And we look for a little mini breakdown failures. And for like what was, let me point to it. Hold on. All right. So, this kind of retraced a little bit, but momentum picked up again. Now, between these lows, right? Again, we don't know that's going to be a pivot low till 3 bars, but it had a reaction after making that low. So downside momentum is slowing, right? Distance between the lows and a little bit of a turn there, still in a downtrend. Going to start going sideways, go sideways into the open, and it starts to percolate a little to the upside. We get a wide range bar up. That could be a long. Maybe it goes back up to the high of the day. So that would be something to keep an eye on as far as we trading futures or looking at SPY, pre-market and as it into the open. From there, well, I can go ahead from our usual routine, but I'll get back to the NQs, right? So from there, we look at SPY, the same thing. Momentum is slowing, starting to go sideways, minus support. Right? You see the gap up, right? Well, it was higher. It was up into that resistance area. So from there, we know what to look for as far as stabilization and ideally like a wide range bar up. And from there, if you so choose, go and consider a 0 DTE put spread based on prices being, again, down to minus support, 5 minutes stabilizing, a wide range bar up. and so on. So these are the extremes for the day. And this is really interesting. I can't remember seeing this, and I did a double take at the quotes. Market's gapping up. So the bottom number comes up as markets move up, those extremes and strikes move up. Well, this moved down this morning. This went up and this moved down. And I can't remember ever seeing that. That didn't mean it never happened, but it's odd. And so, and prices theoretically opening up around here, gapping higher, coming down to the minor support that we talked about, a strike down here, give or take, maybe into this unfilled gap, or at least down below the wide range bars low. And so again, everything's a probability. Can it get there? And looking at this, just okay, it's opening here, give or take. We'll see where it is in another 20 minutes in the middle of the range. Yesterday went nowhere. It was higher toward this pivot, got back down toward here. Maybe can come back up again. Odds are it's not going to, I think, go down below yesterday's low, give or take. But what kind of comfort zone can we have below that? And so, gap, whole numbers, getting below. That's not a whole number there. But, getting below at least a half number, odds are it won't get there. That's all the credit spread is. I don't think price of XYZ will get to a certain level by a certain date, period. Right? And sure, I don't think, I was going to say sure as hell ain't going up there today, but let me just look at those numbers again. I still can't believe that they moved in opposite directions. Actually, all right, so this came up a little, but it's still below yesterday's number. Decent amount below yesterday's number. It's just surprising. That's down there. 25. And that stayed the same. Kind of weird. Right? All right. Looking around other markets. Let's go to NQ futures, which of course NVIDIA cleared and still above that high and room to go higher. So same story as we look at, do I want to trade ES, SPY, or this? Well, we got similar intraday patterns. This isn't down at minus support yet. And maybe, there's nothing there to the left, right? So we always look minor areas beyond what's to the left, see what's there. It's coming into a wide range bar. All right. Somewhere in between, in the middle of the wide range bar, give or take. Right? Buyer should step up. With a move like that, it shouldn't come down to minor support. And that's the obvious place, but based on that strength, it shouldn't come down there. What should happen is it should stabilize and be able to create support. Right? So creating support means it starts with a pivot. Then there's a retest of the pivot, right? In the time frame you're looking at. So as this starts to go sideways as it is, right? There was a move off of the low. Now it came back down hard. Right? Typically, it's just in a downtrend. And as it starts to go sideways, wide range bar up, it should go up. Up to where? Well, maybe up to this area up here. And so that's more of a scalping bias plan intraday. Can it get beyond that? Well, keep an eye on NVIDIA, Google, Amazon, Apple, and so on. What can help fuel it going higher? AVGO, and so on, right? Semiconductors. All right. YM, the Dow. So yesterday I said, hey, you know what? All of this stuff looking pretty decent. This thing appears to be kind of warming out a head and shoulders top, maybe. And so here's the reaction, right? And this is already down to major support. It didn't stop here. So something in the Dow is weak. I don't know what it is. I haven't looked, but something is weak. Maybe UNH again. But this is down at major support. So similarly. So when I look at this and I say, well, why wouldn't I trade this one intraday? NQ has got the higher probability, right? But if this starts going sideways, it this has a void too. So it could be better than SPY or ES. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the Dow and see what's doing so poorly. And maybe that starts to move up. Anyway, you can see how we can start formulating a bias based on different instruments and how we might do it. You know, and so I would suspect this one would go up less than the NQs, but for whatever reason, maybe it starts to lift up. All right, let me move it along here. Big topping tail for the moment, right? Coming down. This was the weaker yesterday. Um, any stabilization, and it just continued lower. And look at how tiny the bars are. This is what we call systematic selling, and just small candle ranges, and it just keeps grinding down. There's no capitulation here yet. And so how does that play into this whole scenario, what we're looking at? Well, here and here, speculative stocks, small caps, they're loving it. Comes up to resistance, they're hating it. So what we're dealing with is this news-driven market that's in a trading range, other than the NQs, which look like they can go higher. And so we can see where the real focus is. All right, gold is up a bit here. It was all over the place the last few days. Nothing to do here other than intraday. I mean, it's kind of, if it closes this way, maybe it's the beginning of a turn. Currencies, right, are up a bit, not a huge amount, not looking at them. So the dollar is down a bit, not a big deal. The main focus is interest rates, and they're down. Right? So the market is coming off its highs. Interest rates are moving lower, which should be a good thing. Right? So, where they were a few days ago, the news, tariffs, bond market doesn't like it. I use the analogy, they step on Trump's neck, he backs off, interest rates coming down, market's not holding on to its gains. So we have this discrepancy here, which leads to a bit of uncertainty. So I think most things are going to hinge on, does the NASDAQ hold on to its gains, or do these weaker ones kind of come off of their lows and join party, right? So again, going back to the 5-minute charts, as I explained, do they bottom out? So on and so forth, and they start to lift up. And that's what we do as intraday traders, right? Right. And we see it, from swing trading perspective. Does the morning gaps harm positions or not? Right? All right, NQ's pulling back, same story. Nice little orderly pullback there. Can it start to, reverse back up again? And we looked at SPY. Transports, we didn't look at yesterday. Right? They got clobbered a little bit, see 163 points. Not a big deal when we look at the chart. Power move up is just consolidating here. So overall, institutions, traders are just dealing with the day-to-day. And overall, things are just marking time. But the NASDAQ is looking much better. All righty. Bitcoin also marking time, right? Accelerated. So when we talk about slowing momentum, as we did a few minutes ago, this is no slowing momentum. Look at the distance between the highs. Over here, momentum slowed down when it was at resistance. Here, the momentum increased, which of course opens up the door to a retracement, but it ain't retracing. And it's just wiggling around. So this is still a positive. It's up near resistance, near those all-time highs, and where it poked above for the moment. And so far, no significant selling. Silver, is it ready to break out? All right, we got alerts up here. It continues to just whip it around. So wait and see. Crude oil, and I drew out this head and shoulders bottom the other day, is just wiggling around. So other than some tech stocks, semiconductors, which if you look at SMH, it doesn't look like anything special. I didn't look at where gapping this morning. I saw gapping up to resistance. Trading ranges everywhere. All right? So don't get too hyped up about anything in the short term. See what individual stocks are doing that, credit spreads, if there's directionals, so on and so forth, and intraday, right? Things are volatile, which is a good thing. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Everybody was waiting on NVIDIA. I made the comment, of course, they're going to have good numbers, but, um, the reaction to earnings is actual announcement versus what the street expected. And so it's gapping up, so it's better than what the street expected. So yeah, that as Greg said, that sector's going to still be of interest, but it's had a big run. What's that, $87? That's a big run. Alarms, Netflix. We did a put spread yesterday. It's gapping down. It's the only thing gapping down. I wonder why. That has to be news. Reaper alarm. I was watching this yesterday. I went ahead and posted a 1, 2, 3 bottoming pattern. Fizzler alarm. Well, it was up. Now it's coming back down, but it's a buy setup. It's trying to make a 4-bar turn. So let me just reset the alarm. Yeah, the thing about Trump also, the good news, the international federal court put a kibosh on his tariff plan. And if you all remember in the green room, I've been saying over the weeks and months, it's like, how does this guy have so much power? I mean, sure, the president, but that doesn't mean you're the world ruler. And so I guess they agreed with me. Exceeded his authority. Monster alarm. Okay, was up, now down. There's one little spike there, set off my alarm. Let's reset. We have long calls on bull. I see that falling right now, bottom right. This thing trades very, very, very wildly intraday. We bought some calls yesterday hoping that this would be the turn, and now it's still in question. VRSK, I had a up alarm go off. It showed it a couple bucks. So I said, try to you know what? Let me give you a little clip summary of that. Patrick, here, this was one news item I saw. You can read that. Soon, 1, 2, 3. This looks great as a new entry. And finally, SMCI. I'm watching this. Big gap, multi-bar turn, 1, 2, 3 weekly, nice retest monthly. It moves with NVIDIA. Let's go to earnings now. Video we looked at, Hewlett Packard. Wow, that's a big percent down. 24, that's big. So I got no bias. Let's just put it on the list. So that's a bearish pre-market. Cream was up yesterday and this morning. Got slapped down. Now, Sam and I were talking about doing what's called the short strangle, where you're selling out of the money call, out of the money put. And I think we were looking at the 335s and I forget, 225s. So that strategy would this is a perfect open. You want a very little gap. But no pattern right now. A alpha, that's a big igniting gap, but there's no entry. Made a pullback. S, big percentage gap down also, and that's a bearish pre-market, but gap's too big for me. But look, every attempt to bounce pre-market has failed. Elf, this is a nice bottoming pattern back here. We were talking about it in the green room right here. Wow, 106. Man, what's up 100%? Incredible. Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit. We're going to be doing a MT live soon on head and shoulder patterns. And I like getting a couple questionable ones just for sake of discussion. And I'm also going to put some in there that say, uh, you know what, it may not be it, head and shoulder, but so what? Has the identical meaning. And this is kind of one of those. Look at that, 100% retracement, gap breakout. That was a nice bottom. Nick Snow. I see Frenchie on YouTube. Nick Snow gapped up, came down, no pattern. NTNX gapping up to 80. It's kind of a bull flag. Here's your big old flagpole. So it's bullish, but that's a big flagpole. So that still doesn't have significant support. But it's bullish, maybe 30-minute high. We could do today is Thursday. Maybe we can do a 1BTE put through. Postage 53. That's a beautiful call spread setup and day trade short. If we get a good entry here, it's fallen a lot here pre-market. Now let's say it just opened up here at 54.50, right under this. Okay, that's right at this prior low. Then I would have said short the week's low, but now it's accelerating, so we need a little bounce. Synopsis got killed yesterday afternoon along with ANSS. Trump came out and said he's not going to let them sell to China. So now they're rebounding 50%. But, again, like Trump's craziness, just like Elon Musk used to do it on Tesla, and he would rock and investors longer for it would get freaking whipsawed. That's what Trump's doing with the entire market. So, it is annoying to traders and businesses and world leaders. He's shaking things up, but he's not making a lot of people happy also. All right, I don't like the way these overlapping bars, but that was actually a nice W bottom retest. But the gap's too big for me. BMA pattern. Knudsen, Nordstrom 205. Put spread idea. Indeed, that's the button. Put spread. Let's watch that. After 5 minutes or so, let's spread tighten a little bit. ATS, that is an amazing bullish move into earnings. I don't see any prints. Canadian banks have been on a tear. Look at that self-churning uptrend. No pattern. Charlie Mike, same self-churning uptrend. Look at that. Look at that. So this red bar right here totally suggested lower prices. for a healthy retracement. Nope, nope. Red bar negated. Continued to march. Another look, Imperial Bank, Canada. I don't know why the banks have been so strong. This one, obviously an ADR and something flat, no interest. Pearl, 29, gapped on the bottom of the range, no interest. BBY, 69 and change, no interest. Burl, 260. Wow, that's a monster Bull Island reversal. Monster gap down, 3 bars, monster leaving this as an island. That's a very bullish pattern, but gap into the gap fill, I don't like no setup. Flu2 bullish. There's a 30-minute high, or could be a day trade and put spread. I like that. Flu2 looks great. The lean gapping up to 180. It might give you a gap and crap, but again, look at this 15-minute chart. Apps that's when we do an MT live on trend and trend strength, that is exhibit A, trend strength, just like those Canadian bank daily charts too. Man, that's strong. Do gap at 38. There you go. There's a bottoming pattern. Let's put do over here. Royav. Looks lower, 30-minute low, but let's gapping up a little bit. Could be a put spread or 30-minute high day trade. Kiss, $9. Remember, I was tempted to sell, what was it? $7 puts, I think. I was tempted. And this thing had a huge expected move for some reason. But that's a nice bottoming pattern. Wow, now the gap's too big. Sam, our DRI alarm. Look at that 15-minute chart. This could be a 30-minute high. Let's tick 1100. Let's just give it time, see what the market's going to do. But DRI looks great. Soon gapping above this 1, 2, 3. That looks great. VRSK alarm. We're in that. Crowd alarm. I adjusted the stop pre-market already. So let me just set a higher thing here for 474. Yeah, SMCI, I like. Yeah, nice pre-market too. Yeah, let's buy 5-minute high. Where's the stop though? I don't know. Let me look at an hourly. Yeah, cues are coming in, so let's just give it 5 minutes. Where's our stop? I'm gonna give it a little more under here, so under 40. Because I think this could have some big potential. So 39.88. All time frames are in beautiful alignment. Southeast alarm. This thing's dead. Southeast. We're in this. This is obviously an early stump. I'll just set it lower. The cues, the 500 horsemen are coming in a little harder now. Hence, not rushing into things. MKTX. 214. Break even now. Good. My low alarm went off. This thing's been a little stubborn. No, was that my first third target went off? MKTX. Yeah, the first third target went off. Oh, that's why. Cool. My first third target, Sam. Nice. Within a awesome target. See that, Sam? And that is exactly why it's good to have an order out there for partial on profits. It's out there. And if you get a big wick in your direction, so look at this. Our target, look at this. I gave a target at 213 and a quarter. So look at that. We got a third target right darn near the low of that bottoming tone. Yeah, we're in ECL too, but I didn't have an alarm go off. Yeah, we'll give it a little more room, but yeah, I trimmed a couple things break even yesterday that weren't acting right and looked like the broader markets were falling on the hourly. All right, crowd is out. Take the money. I tightened it to yesterday's low. We had a nice gain. We did a SMCI is holding well. Soon came in really hard. So yeah, things are our bull also acting weird. Greg, it is so freaking weird. When you text me on Telegram, I got it on my laptop like 15 seconds before my hardwired computer. How do you explain that?
I can't.
But my wireless is on T-Mobile even. It's not even hardwired.
I guess whatever. Some programs on the one that's slower are stopping it from coming in as quickly. I don't know.
No, the big computer is more horsepower and hardwired. Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean like I'm just, I don't know, but maybe the computer provides more of that power toward programs like that are operating and data's coming in versus transferring that. I don't know.
Yeah, no bite.
It looks like markets are going to come down, the stronger ones to test that minor support.
All right, crowd out. Yeah, see why I didn't rush into the SMCI? It looked great, but I gave you my two reasons. Broader market coming in, trading the first 5 minutes. It had a little morning euphoria with NVIDIA. I was in no hurry. Man, our Netflix is tanking here. What is up with him today? Did Trump say something stupid? Or as Don would rephrase it, what stupid thing did he say this time? Right, Don? Did I get that right? Alarm. Wow, Crane down 17 now. That's not helping the Dow. Man, it was down 3 pre-market when I looked at it. Man, look at this cliff dive. So yeah, that's the biggest Debbie Downer. Schwab was maybe kind of a pseudo M top. Let's put this on the list for call spread if it closes like this.